It's championship week. Here at our recording, it's been an awesome season. As you see, the old Rottweiler Ethan Hamilton is excited as ever for these NFC and AFC conference championship games. And I'm 007 Gage Sutton, and we're here to break all of the games down from last week and predict the games for this week. Because Ethan, we have upsets to talk about in the divisional round. Some apologies to make. We can talk a little bit about the coaching stuff, but before we get into any of that, we got to tell the people, make sure y'all are subscribed, make sure y'all like the video, and make sure y'all are sharing with a friend, with a family member, with anybody.
Lover. Share with all your lovers. Share with the whole roster.
Hey, anybody who may or will enjoy our content, you should send it their way. So we really appreciate all the love we've been getting on all the social media, and thank you for the continued support. So without further ado, man, let's get right into this past week's divisional round, where we had some chalk picks, I think, for some of the games, and I think some of them went the way we expected. So one of those games, let's talk about it. The Chiefs and the Texans.
My
Chiefs
Kansas
took care
City Chiefs. My Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
Handle business
right.
on the way to a three-peat. All right, my Kansas City team. Because if you guys didn't know, the Kansas City Chiefs were originally from Dallas. That's what made me be a fan, really, in the first place. And so I'm just so happy. Ever since Brady's gone, the AFC playoffs, they run through Arrowhead. They run through Kansas City. And where are we back again? What is it, for the 8th straight year, 7th straight year? It's too many. I'm losing track. They're going to have to come face 1-5 and them boys in Arrowhead. And don't get me wrong, the Texans, it was cute, man. Y'all put up a good little fight. And here y'all bitching and moaning about the refs. Nah, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it, all right? You saw that touchdown pass he threw on his knees to Kelsey while he was getting dragged down. It was really a penalty, of course, whatever. Who you think you can hit 1-5 like that? You can't. You're not going to hit 1-5 like that. Not my quarterback. Got Kelsey in the back of the end zone off 3 weeks rest. Don't get me twisted, right? We were a little rusty, but we're going to be ready this week. And shout out to the Texans, though. Another good season, made it to the divisional round again. Got the win against the Chargers that we didn't think it was going to happen. How you feel about my Chiefs, Gage?
I mean, like I said, it was a chalk pick. We both thought the Chiefs were going to win this game, and they won, I think, in the manner that we expected them to. And I want to address the officiating stuff because I think it's getting out of hand for people who are hating on the Kansas City Chiefs and are saying that the officials are always on their side. Yes, there are a lot of favorable calls that go towards Kansas City, but there are favorable calls being made for every team. So for me, the way I look at it is if the Texans want to win that game, make your field goals, convert on 3rd and 4th down. Don't put yourself in positions to let the officials determine the outcome of the game. So, and that's going for any team moving forward. Don't let officiating, it doesn't matter who you're playing. It could be Kansas City, it could be Baltimore, Buffalo. Don't let officiating be the deciding outcome in a playoff game. And that just comes down to coaching and getting your guys ready to play. And for me, I just don't think the Texans were at that point. So,
I mean, I'm not too mad at that. It's easy to say that because you're a Packers fan, and we know how you guys are with the refs. So I feel you. It's easy for you to say, "Oh, don't blame the refs."
The Packers have been screwed by the refs too.
Never that. As a team, as my former team always got screwed by the refs. I get their frustration, right?
Your former team.
The Texans got to understand that this is just what comes with playing 1-5. You're not gonna beat them. Run from it, hide from it. Destiny arrives all the same.
Yeah,
but it was a solid season considering the fact that Stephon Diggs was out that second half. Tank Dell was out that second half. Nico Collins was really out the first half of the season. They still were able to make do with that terrible offensive line. I think they know the direction that they have to go. They have a stud, 2 studs on the defensive end, young studs, and Derek Stingley, who has arrived as a premier DB, and Will Anderson Jr. as one of the best young edge rushers in the league. They nailed the pick with free agency pickup in Danielle Hunter. The defense is fine. Yeah, they need to maybe beef up just overall just depth. But they now know what they have to do. Go get interior offensive linemen in the draft and free agency, load up, and you have a contender in Houston.
Yeah.
And who knows what they're going to do offensively, too, because they fired Bobby Slowick this week.
That was just what I was about to say, is that they just fired Bobby Slowick. So we don't know what direction the offense is going to be headed in, but I think Stephon Diggs is a free agent too. So it's going to be interesting to see like if they re-sign him after that ACL injury. So I don't know. Houston, like you said, I think they're in the right direction. The defense is good. D'Amico's got those guys playing hard, bought into the culture and what they're doing. Yeah, just continue adding pieces on the offensive line, and we'll see where the Texans are in a couple of years. And we'll talk about the Chiefs here in a minute again. But Ethan, let's go to one of the games that completely shocked us, and I think shocked the world. The Washington Commanders knock off the Detroit Lions in Detroit at Ford Field, and it was a domination from the start by Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders offense. They were on a roll. Detroit could not stop them. And ultimately, Detroit, after having their best season ever, 15-2, are now out of the playoffs. Ethan, I know the hater in you is happy about seeing Detroit, but the more hatred in you is overwhelming towards Washington. So
I gotta pick a lesser of two evils right now. Like, for my thing is like, like I saw me real quick. The Detroit Lions, what a disappointment y'all are. Y'all gassed us the whole year that y'all were gonna be real contenders. You gassed us, had the best regular season ever. Last year, y'all got away with blowing that piss poor lead against the San Francisco 49ers. And we said, oh, it's okay. They're the lovable losers. And then this year, you guys come in firing on all cylinders. And you guys come in the season, basically have the entire season talking your shit, right? And rightfully so, backing it up, 15-2, best record in the NFC, the 1 seed. And then for y'all to lose to the Washington Commanders off a bye, first game y'all played in the divisional round, not even make it to the NFC Championship at home, is a disappointment. Because you had, what more did you need? If you would have asked Detroit Lion fans, which team would you have wanted to play first game in the playoffs in the NFC in the playoff picture? They would, 100 out of 100 Detroit Lion fans would have told you to watch the Commanders. They just did not get up that day. And you let the Washington Commanders see an NFC Championship game before the Dallas Cowboys. That I will never be able to forgive you for. Sorry, team. Oh my goodness. And shout out to De'Ami Brown. He heard what Amon-Ra was saying about him.
Yeah.
He heard and outplayed him too.
Hey, so I gotta say, man,
I cannot be mad about.
I kind of love it. I guess I predicted Detroit to win. Obviously, I think everyone predicted Detroit to win last week. So here's my formal apology to the Washington Commanders, because I have been hyping them up all season. I didn't think they were this good. So shout out to them for making me look stupid on last week's podcast, and for making a lot of people look stupid, for people who were doubting Jaden Daniels, for people who were doubting Dan Quinn. Hey,
no, this project has already been a success. I'm not going to take that away from them. It hurts me. It pains me as a Washington Commanders hater. I got to keep it a buck. But let's not boost this like what it is. Don't get me wrong, right? No matter if you're the 7th seed, the 1 seed, or the 3 seed, they were proving that. They got in the dance and they made some noise. So this season, and already you can make the case this regime is already a success, more success than anything they've seen in the last 20 years. They made an NFC Championship game. The Washington Commanders, I thought I'd never say those words as long as I'm walking this earth, and I have to say it now. But this team is not good. Let's not boost this. We're going to talk about what I think is about to happen next week and how I'm going to have to pick between a lesser of two evils. But let's not get shit twisted. This Commanders team is not that good. It's really not. Jaden Daniels, though, his ceiling, he is such a stud, bro. He's already the most athletic quarterback in that division. And his ceiling as a passer, he's showing it in spurts. And the NFC East is going to have a problem on their hands with Washington as long as they're able to keep him healthy.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Washington and their upcoming matchup next week in the conference, or this week in the conference championship. But let's talk about Detroit real quick and what their offseason is going to look like, because they're losing both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Ben Johnson is now the head coach of the Chicago Bears, and Aaron Glenn is now the head coach of the New York Jets. So with that in mind, how does Detroit bounce back from this, bro? Can they bounce back from a season like this next year and be as dominant as they were?
They can, right? And it all starts with Dan Campbell and him recognizing that he plays a large part to blame in all this, right? We talk a lot about the grit that Campbell has, but we need to hold his feet to the fire a little bit. Blowing a 17-point lead to the San Francisco 49ers in the second half. Now losing to the 7th seed Washington Commanders in the divisional round, first game at home. That falls on preparation, bro. Preparation and just overall, I don't know if calmness is the word, but overall even keeliness. Because both those games should have been won by the Commanders. I know hindsight's 2020, but both those games should have won. And it starts with Dan Campbell. Like, you have to have your team prepared. You have to. On paper, you have a better team than the Commanders. You know the Commanders aren't the greatest when it comes to running the foot or defending the run.
I mean, okay, hold on. To cut Detroit some slack, they did have a shit ton of injuries, and we're not gonna excuse that because other teams have injuries too. But yes, Detroit had a unreal amount of players,
and that's where I'm gonna go. This
so.
Next year, they're gonna have Aiden Hutchinson back. They're gonna have all these guys back, but this is a, I don't want to say a culture shock, but these are back-to-back gut punches, like bad flameouts. Last year it was okay. It was a bad, but don't get me wrong. Nobody expected last year the Lions to be in the NFC Championship game.
That's what I was going to say.
But blowing a 17-point lead, you have to close it out. You have to. Even the worst of NFL teams, you have to expect that they can hold on to that type of lead. It doesn't matter how good a team is. And then this year to the Commanders is unexcusable. It really is. This year was an abject failure. Last year was not. You exceeded expectations, and even though it was a bad flame out, you still exceeded expectation. Nobody thought you were going to make it there. This year was a failure, point blank, period. And you're going to have some conversations about, I know Jared Goff is a good quarterback, right? He's a quality starting quarterback. But if the conditions aren't perfect, he's not able to create on his own. He's not able to extend plays. And I don't want to, both coordinators are gone, so we can say this. Ben Johnson called a bad game.
Yeah.
Earlier in the game, it was, I think, 4th and 1 to 3rd and 1. He ran 5 out with just Jared Goff. Bro, give the fucking ball to Jahmyr Gibbs. He was the best player on the field. No debate. No debate between both teams. And you're not giving the ball like that. And there were certain situations, even the Jameson Williams pass that ended up being interception. Why are you giving the ball to Jameson Williams to throw a pass when you're down?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of questionable decisions and playmaking on the Detroit side, and ultimately why they lost that game. Again, I don't want to be a Lions apologist. I don't. They're a division rival, but again, the defense was overwhelmed from the very beginning. Man, the Commanders put up 45 on them, and it was just going to be too much for them to overcome offensively. And even though the Lions put up 31, and some of that was in garbage time, like it was just a tough season, man. They really. Do you think the bye had any effect on them? Do you think it
definitely
it
did? Definitely it did, but it's no excuse. Yeah. The same reason last week, rightfully so. Last year, we didn't give no excuse to the Dallas Cowboys for getting stomped out at home to y'all. I'm not giving the Commanders an excuse. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Fair enough. But all right, man. Next one we'll talk about, and this one was one we were split on. The Baltimore Ravens fall in Buffalo to the Bills, and Josh Allen will head to Kansas City to take on Patrick Mahomes for, I think, the 3rd or 4th time in the playoffs. And hopefully, Cox sources. It's been a handful of times. And Josh Allen is hoping to come out of Arrowhead with a win this time. I am very impressed with what the Bills have done this year. I've said it throughout the season that I think Josh Allen has been the best player, just all things considered, that the expectations for the Bills were different. They didn't have Stephon Diggs anymore. The defense lost a lot of key pieces, and a lot of people weren't sure if they were even going to win the division, which at the time seemed like reasonable. But now we look back at it and it's like, it's
Yeah, how
kind
do
of
we
crazy.
miss?
Yeah. How did we miss that? Like Josh Allen is just, he's Superman. And the way they're play calling around him, getting James Cook and more involved, he's been playing really well too on the offensive side. The receivers are all stepping up. I'm really excited for what they can do in Kansas City, and we'll talk about the predictions. But Ethan, anything to say about Buffalo before we talk about Baltimore, the team that is eliminated in this game?
I want to give credit where credit is due to Josh Allen and Joe Brady. When Joe Brady came, especially the second half of last year, I realized the best part of what he did was he started taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. Specifically, the way he's able to run scheme James Cook has been chef's kiss. That's been the biggest key in Buffalo's turnaround, because before they were making Josh Allen do everything, and rightfully so. He is that talented. But Josh Allen, like I always say, he got that dumbass gene in him where that turnover, that stupid play that you're like, Josh, why did you do that? He's got it in him. And Joe Brady recognized that. He's like, you know what? To mitigate that, I'm gonna start running the ball with James Cook and giving him the ball and taking the pressure. That way Josh can be more selective and he can see the field a lot better. And Josh has played so much better ever since then. So I got to give a shout out to Joe Brady, because you can see that Josh is fighting it. He's fighting that gunslinger. He's fighting it so bad. Like he threw for under 100, 200 yards under 200 yards this week. And that's not like Josh, but he's fighting it. But he knew that's what it took to give the team to win. And that was the difference between him and the quarterback on the other side of the field. That really was the difference.
Yep. And to talk about the quarterback on the other side of the field, we got to have some conversations about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who fall to Buffalo. And I think I'll start, because I usually start on the more positive side, and then we'll let you get to a little bit more of the critical and the hatred that you kind of have to give for Baltimore. But for me, I think it's ultimately you run into a team that's hot, man. It's Josh Allen. It's an era with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and a
Lamar
team has to lose. Yeah, one team has to lose. And Lamar did not play his best. It obviously was not his best performance. And a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, Lamar sucks in the playoffs."
Bro, we have to have that conversation, because it's every year continuously. Lamar is having his worst games in the playoffs. And I know what everybody's saying. Well, look how great he is in the regular season. Yes, he's amazing. He's about to be MV3. He's amazing. But we're talking about the greats. We're talking about he has top 5 potential, all-time top 5, 10, just like the other two quarterbacks that we named in Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. But he continuously comes up small in the playoffs. So much so where there's quarterbacks that I think are lesser than him in the playoffs or in the regular season that don't come nowhere near as piss poor that he plays in the postseason. And that's just a fact. He plays bad, bro. And it's going to take him some time. He's going to have to wait a whole another year to try to right that wrong. But it was bad. And don't get me wrong, he played great in the second half. But Baltimore is not in that hole if he does not turn the ball over twice in that first half. That's it. We got to keep the margins are so small. I know you don't want to put all the blame on him, and I'm not. Mark Andrews he sold so bad with the fumble and the drop. And I'm not one of those people that are going to tell you that, oh, Lamar's pass he shouldn't have double clutched. Probably he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews is wide and fuck open. Nobody's on him. Catch the ball.
The other argument, too, that I've been seeing, and I agree with, is even if Mark Andrews catches that ball, there's still a minute and a half left on the clock. And the way Josh Allen was running up and down that field, You don't think Buffalo was going to get down the field with 2 timeouts left and a minute left on the clock and get a touchdown?
Baltimore's defense held them in check. They held them to 6 points the
And
whole second half. Baltimore's defense answered the call.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of things that could have been answered. Ultimately, they didn't make the plays when they needed to, and that goes for Lamar, that goes for Mark Andrews, that goes for the defense, and it's just been the same for the Baltimore Ravens. So they will definitely need to do some internal searching this offseason into why they can't get over the hump, because I mean, the offense was all there. It's unfortunate you didn't have Zay Flowers for this game, and I think Rashad Bateman got hurt like midway through it. But like, you got to find a way to win these games, and
that also, we got to head coaches some accountability.
Yeah,
the same conversation we was having about Mike Tomlin, we really need to have that conversation about John Harbaugh. We really do. What more do you need to help get this team over the hump? You have about to be 3-time MVP, at the very least 2-time MVP. You used how many first, second round picks on wide receivers and Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers? Last year, you went and got Odell Beckham Jr. You have Isaiah Likely. You have Mark Andrews on the offense. You went and got a 2,000-yard rusher in Derrick Henry that lived up to the hype. You had how many picks on the defensive side of the football, which is supposed to be your specialty? And you cannot get over the hump?
Yeah.
And what is even Kansas City this time? So you can't even use that excuse.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I just don't know what's wrong with this team. We need that thing. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to say they might need drastic changes. You know what I mean? I'm never going to really call for somebody's job like that. Cue the clip of me calling for somebody's job. But John Harbaugh needs to be held to a higher standard. The same standard we held to Mike McCarthy. The same standard we held Mike Tomlin. The same standard we hold to Sean Payton. Those coaches of that era.
All right. I mean, hey, I think there's some valid criticism. It's very hard to win a Super Bowl in this league, but I think for a guy like Lamar Jackson, who I'm a big fan of, you just got to be realistic. He's getting older. He's had a lot of attempts at it, and he hasn't been able to get over the hump. And again, just they need to see how they can do that for him, because with 3 MVPs, it's criminal that he does not even have a Super Bowl appearance. So, Ravens, get it figured out for Lamar's sake, please. But next, we go to our last divisional round game, and it is the Rams falling short to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think we both picked the Eagles in this game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
the Rams had a shot, though. The Rams had a shot.
Yeah, they were playing it tight, and I was just really impressed with the Rams as a whole. Their defense was way better than I expected them to be. So shout out to Jared Verse and a lot of the guys on the D line, man. They were just getting after Jalen Hurts, and they held Saquon in. I was gonna say they held Saquon in check for a bit, and then he kind of broke it open. Yeah, I think the Rams just need to keep improving. They definitely need to start looking for a quarterback too. So that's going to be interesting to see if they're going to get something in the draft this year, or maybe get one of these young quarterbacks who another team is giving up on, and let him develop behind Matthew Stafford. But what do you think about the Rams season, man?
I think it was a good season. They've rebuilt this team so fast since their Super Bowl run, especially on the defensive side. Gerard Verse talked that smack about the Eagles, and he backed it up. Dog, he's a stud. He's such a fucking stud. And the way they've been able to replace Aaron Donald by committee across that defensive line, that's elite team building. Offensively, you got one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. You have an alpha in Puka Nacua who has answered the call. He is like that. He was bailing Stafford out on those seam routes and on the sideline too, in a couple of those catches. He is such a stud. It's hard to say. Philadelphia was just too much for them to handle. And then it pains me to say this, but in about 12, 14 years, there's going to be a gold jacket ready for Carter. There is. He is like that. He's going to be one of the best defensive players in football, and maybe might be the best defensive tackle of his generation. He's that good. And I'm not in the boat of why did they let him fall? No, there's valuable reason to why he let him fall. Yeah. I get why he fell. This is not a Laramie Tunsil situation. Very much different, but he is a stud. he is a stud. And the play he was able to make to throw Stafford off his not even his wrong foot, but just get him off platform to throw that fucking duck to Puka. Oh, my stomach melted. I was so mad. I thought they were gonna march down the field and do that play. But Jalen Carter is really like that. And the Eagles are back to another NFC championship game. Jalen Hurts is another passenger in that vehicle. Like I've been telling y'all, and it makes me sick. I'm glad y'all started to see the truth
I know you're sick.
I'm sick as fuck. He is so mid, and I don't care if this is all hate. Jalen Hurts, man, I don't know you as a guy, but as a player, you make me fucking sick. You make me sick, and I hope you know that.
All right, well, Ethan, I love the passion, and hopefully you can carry it on into this next topic before we get into our predictions for the conference championships, we've got some head coach announcements to talk about. We talked about a few of them earlier with Ben Johnson from the Lions signing with the Chicago Bears and Aaron Glenn becoming the new head coach of the New York Jets. But Ethan, we've had a couple other coaching hires. We got Liam Cohen being picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and apparently Tampa Bay is pissed.
Yeah, because he signed an extension with them. Or he was either he signed or was about to sign an extension with them, and then after the Jaguars fired their GM, it was kind of quick turn of events in the sense of they went for it and he got it, whether they paid him out of that contract really fast and or they just were able to sign him before he put the ink to paper with the Bucks. But I like that pickup. He was great this past season with the Bucks. Another one too, Pete Carroll is going to the Las Vegas Raiders, which I never thought I was going to see that. And he's going to be able to, I don't mind that pickup. I really don't. Not for them.
I don't either, man. I think he is like a good culture builder because they know they're not going to win a Super Bowl next year, and they just need to get better. They need to get guys in there who want to win, just get off on the right foot. And Tom Brady knows that. He's now in the ownership group of the Raiders and making a lot of these key decisions. I think bringing Pete Carroll in is a great one, in my opinion. Very experienced coach. I think a lot of the guys in the locker room are going to respect him. And you just need someone like that when you're trying to rebuild a team that's been as bad as the Raiders have been. So I'm excited for that move.
The one that pains me the most, Aaron. My fault.
Yeah, we talked about Aaron Glenn. Do you have any thoughts on the Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn one? Do you think
I like Ben Johnson? Really quick, I didn't mean to interrupt you when you're talking about Pete Carroll, but I really like Ben Johnson. I was watching. I'm not really too big into watching post-game press conferences and just videos of them talking, but I don't ever see videos of Ben Johnson talking. So when I saw him speaking to the crowd at the Bears organization, I like the way he spoke. Right, he gave me that leader of men type of feel, and I think the Bears got one with Ben Johnson, and it tells a lot that he thought he chose the Bears out of the Jets and the Jaguars, and it shows how much he believes in that roster and how much, even though he's very predicated on play action, he must really think he's able to not only fix Caleb Williams, because that's one of his worst attributes is play action, but be able to raise his level, and I like that a lot. I love the Aaron Glenn pickup. They're in rebuild mode. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be with them that much longer, whether he's going to retire this season or play another year. I like it a lot. He is a leader. Is someone I would have loved for my former team in the Dallas Cowboys. And I guess if we want, we could talk about a little later on of how we feel about them and what the shit show that's been their head coaching cycle. But I like those pickups.
Yeah, and we will talk about the Cowboys and the Saints. Those are the only two teams that are still looking for head coaches at this time. But just real quick, my thoughts on those coaching hires for Chicago. I'm a big fan of Ben Johnson. I thought what he did in Detroit was amazing the past few seasons, and I'm low-key terrified because when you put Caleb Williams with an offensive mind like that, they could really create magic and make that division a lot tougher than it already is. So hopefully it doesn't pan out. I hope Ben Johnson actually just shits the bed and keeps the Chicago Bears tradition of sucking going. But I guess we'll find out for the Aaron Glenn hire. Again, I'm a big fan of it too. I think Aaron Glenn did great in Detroit and knows the New York Jets organization. And hopefully can bring the necessary changes because they've got some talented players on that roster too. But let's talk about your former team, the Dallas Cowboys, because they are very close to getting their head coach as we record this episode. Maybe by the time it's out, they officially contract who we think will become the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. How do you feel about the rumblings of Deion Sanders or Brian Schottenheimer becoming the head coach? Because I'm hearing Deion and Brian Schottenheimer.
I think there's no shot. It's no pun intended. It's going to be Deion. I think it's pretty clear it's going to be Brian Schottenheimer, and it's just more of the same. This reminds me of Jason Garrett 2.0, another puppet, another guy that is really just going to just be a mouthpiece for the Joneses. From what I know from my research with Schottenheimer he was the OC for the Cowboys the last 2 years. He did not play call, but he did do a lot of play design. He was a part of that Seattle era before letting Russ cook, the Chris Carson era right after the Super Bowl. Been in the league for mad long, never done a head coaching hire, and I'm just not really a fan of it. It's more of the same. The only, I guess, plus is that from what a lot of the sources say, he's going to be a lot better. They like him a lot more as a head coach as far as his relationships in the league, hiring coordinators and people on his staff more than him as a play caller. He's going to be really invested in running the football, and hopefully that goes into playing into Dak's strengths. And honestly, if what I can see happening, not to jump the gun, if it's Schottenheimer, I think the Ashton Genty pick is really in play. Really in play. Because the way the Joneses work is I feel like if the Dallas Cowboys hire Brian Schottenheimer, I think they're going to need to give the fan base something to have hope for this season so they can trick them again. And from what I know, from what I feel, from what other Cowboys fans feel, this is probably the lowest that Dallas fans have felt about their team in a very long time. And knowing the Joneses, they're not going to like that because they're going to need jersey sales. They're going to need ratings. And what does that? You guessed it, a superstar running back. And I think that results in the Cowboys really trying to go get Ashton Genty in the NFL draft to try to get the fans more invested.
Yeah, let's see what the Cowboys do, man. Because when I heard
Shotty, I know you happy so much that it's going to be Shotty. I know you're happy.
Yeah, I do. I mean, like there is some family lineage. He is the son of Martin Schottenheimer. So maybe Marty Schottenheimer. So maybe we get some legendary coaching out of this one. But I don't know. I've seen the wheels falling off this Cowboys team for a long time, and I just want to continue seeing it slowly fall apart. Maybe that's the hatred in me, but it's just for a few teams, and the Cowboys just seem to be one of the direct targets of that. So sorry to your former team, or
don't say sorry to me. I'm a Chiefs fan.
Wait, oh yeah. So are you now just like a forever Chiefs fan? You're no
honestly, if they hire Shotty, I'll probably be a Chiefs fan until 2030.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Good to know. All right. And then the last one, we haven't really heard a bunch about who this team will hire. They've still got some potential candidates, I think, in the playoffs. And that's the New Orleans Saints, who I think the names I've heard are Mike McCarthy. They have Cliff Kingsbury, Joe Brady. Yeah. I think a few of the guys who are in these conference championship games. So Saints coaching job, any idea where you think they'll be going?
From what I heard from Saints fans, specifically Jalen, I think they really, really want an offensive-minded head coach, especially to lead this era, officially starting a rebuild, getting rid of Derek Carr. I think on the board, I know the Giants are maybe thinking about getting him sort of as a bridge quarterback. So if that's the case, and they're going to start at ground zero, I think maybe a guy like Joe Brady would work for them.
Well, Joe Brady, I think, would be the best pick for them. I think he needs another shot at head coaching opportunity, but I have a feeling they're going to go with Mike McCarthy. I don't know. That's just my gut, but maybe I'm wrong. How do you feel about the Mike McCarthy to New Orleans?
I'm not mad as far as getting coordinators and people a part of his staff. He could work. He rebuilt Dallas. They weren't a ready-made roster, and he was able to rebuild them, even if him and his relationship with the Joneses kind of fell apart. But I'm not mad at that for them. I think it'd be hilarious, but I'm not mad at it.
Yeah. Well, that will do it for our coaching conversation. And now, we can get right into what the people are here for. That's our conference championship, NFL predictions. And before we get into them, again, a quick reminder to all of our listeners, all of our audience, make sure y'all are subscribing and sharing, liking all the helpful stuff to help this channel grow. As we're getting out of the NFL season, we will be doing more music content, more NBA content, and just other stuff. So if you have ideas for videos or anything you want to hear us talk about, let us know in the comments.
Exactly. We're also going to have season 5 of the podcast starting up, and we're going to have more guests. A part of our friend group, really dope creators are coming on. So be tuned from that. I'm also going to upload probably on this channel or my personal social media a recap of my Japan trip coming up, which I'm really, really excited about. So stay tuned for that. But let's hop into the games. The first game is 2:00 Central Time on Sunday. We got, for me, my worst nightmare. We got the Washington Commanders versus the Philadelphia Eagles in Washington. NFC East matchup, it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Gage, who you leaning?
I'm leaning towards the Eagles just because I think they're the better team. But it bit me in the ass to pick against Washington last week. Do I think the magic will continue in Philadelphia? The pessimist in me is going to say no. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles making it to the Super Bowl and getting past the Commanders. And look, no hate to the Commanders again. And we might be doing the same shit next week where I'm in black and white doing the same thing. They're in the Super Bowl and I look like an idiot. But they've exceeded expectations way more than any other team we've talked about. This was a team that was in the fucking gutter last year, and now they're in an NFC Conference Championship game. What more could you ask for? The team's only going to get better from here. So I really don't see how, even if you lose this game, this season is a win for the Washington Commanders as a whole.
Absolutely. For me, this is, like I said, my worst nightmare between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. Since early, I've said it's going to be a Chiefs and Eagles Super Bowl, and I think it's going to be that way. I just think Washington, they really, really struggled defending the run. They struggled last week against Jahmyr Gibbs and the Lions, but they are able to force timely turnovers to get the offense more possessions. I don't think they'll be able to do that with Philadelphia, especially the way that Saquon's playing. Went for 200 last week against the Rams. I think he's going to have another big game against the Commanders. I would take the Commanders over the Eagles. Eagles fans are so unbearable, but I think it's going to be the Eagles.
Yeah, that Eagles defense is just so good too. In comparison to what Washington saw last week in Detroit, this Philly defense is going to be a complete different, just completely different change of pace. So, yeah, I'm excited for that game. But this is the one that everyone is waiting for. It's the showdown between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes once again in the AFC Conference Championship. And there's a history of Patrick Mahomes coming out on top in these matchups in the playoffs. But where are you leaning this time around?
With as far as the Chiefs and Bills?
Yep.
Until I see the Bills beat 1-5 and the Chiefs, I'm not picking against them, especially in the playoffs. It was cute when the Bills did it this year. You know what I mean? So it's, okay, they have the ability to do it. Yeah, and they did it. They put pedal to the metal and they did it, but that was in Buffalo. And that was really Kansas City's only loss of the season. They have 2 losses on the year, but that came in the last game of the season against the Broncos, where I don't want to say threw the game, but none of the starters were playing.
They were playing Carson Wentz, so kind of.
Yeah. And I think the Chiefs are not going to like that. People were saying they don't like the noise. I don't think Pat Mahomes, I think he's cut from the same cloth that Brady is. He don't like all this Josh Allen love. Oh, Josh Allen's been playing the best. Is he the best quarterback in football? Josh Allen don't like that stuff. Patrick Mahomes does not like this Josh Allen love. Not one bit. Especially when he considerably continuously keeps beating him, Pat don't like that. And I'm riding with 1-5. I think the Chiefs off 3 weeks rest, basically, got the jitters out, got all the wheels turning against the Texans, and made it out that game. I think they're going to be firing on cylinders offensively. DeAndre Hopkins is there. Hollywood Brown is there. I don't think Rashee Rice is going to play. Maybe he plays in the Super Bowl, but I doubt it. Give me the Chiefs. Give me 1-5 in the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. They're on a historic run, and if they are able to win this game, they will be on their way to their third consecutive Super Bowl with a chance to win a third consecutive Super Bowl. First time a team's done that. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to come out on top. And this is the optimist in me because I love Josh Allen, and everything that the Bills have done this year has just really impressed me from an offensive side of, offensive point of view. Everything has just meshed, and defensively they've gotten better as the season's gone on. And I think they're going to be able to knock off Patrick Mahomes this time around. I hope, again, this doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, because I'm putting my faith in Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to go into Arrowhead, knock off the Kansas City Chiefs, and make it to the Super Bowl. But, hey, Kansas City's got that devil magic working in their favor. So we might see a Kansas City Super Bowl inevitably. So we'll see. But either way, I think we're going to be in for an exciting matchup in the Super Bowl regardless.
I think so too. I think this can be a great game. The Chiefs just lock in. There's a difference between beating the Chiefs at home and beating them in Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes turned the ball over twice last time they played in November.
He does not turn the ball over.
He does not do that often, especially in the playoffs. They have Hollywood Brown now to add to Xavier Worthy, to add to DeAndre Hopkins. Travis Kelce was a dud the last time they played the Bills. Two catches for 8 yards. He's not doing that in the playoffs, especially at Arrowhead. It's going to have to be a shootout.
Now with Taylor Swift in the stands.
Yeah. Taylor Rapp is going to be out for the Bills, so they're going to start a rookie back there. And the Bills defense has been really, really good. But I don't know if they got enough to beat them in Arrowhead. I just don't know. And I don't know if Josh is going to – if they fall behind, are they going to be able to stick with running the football? Are they going to be able to stick with giving the ball to James Cook? Is Amari Cooper going to be involved? He wasn't that involved last week against the Ravens, and I know he spoke about it, and him basically saying that it doesn't matter. Winning's all that matters. Is Josh going to be able to fight that itch? I don't think he's going to. Not against 1-5. I think he's going to try to go machine for him. But that's just my belief.
Hey, it'll be a fun one to watch, and I'm sure every pair of eyes are going to be on their TV sets watching that Buffalo-Kansas City game. But anything else that you want to recap or talk about quickly before we wrap this up?
No, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a pleasure to keep doing this week in, week out. Next week, we're going to be back with our Super Bowl predictions. And, heck, we might even do a review of some of the NFL draft picks that are coming up and some fits that we're going to have. So be sure to tune in. You already know who it is. It's Young Wilder, Mr. 5'6", of Pure Temptation, Pablo Frescobar. And it's my partner in crime, the one and only 007, Gage Sutton. Holla at your boy. Ain't that what Steven Smith is? It's been another episode.
Hustle. Let's go.
Let's hustle. Let's go. This has been another episode of AWR Recording. We'll catch you guys later.
Peace.
Peace.